What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be reviewing Darren Aronofsky's new film, Mother. So without giving too much of this movie away, I would say basically it is about Jennifer Lawrence's character and Javier Bardem's character. They are a couple living peacefully in their house until a bunch of unwelcome guests show up, and basically events arise from there, which basically made one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I think it's pretty intense.
Oh, definitely an intense film.
Yeah.
So we're going to be starting off with a spoiler-free review, and then we will let you guys know when we are going to start our spoiler review. What did you guys think of this movie?
Well, first thoughts was what the fuck's happening?
Yeah, it's a good thought.
That's a lot of the film. I feel like is you've got it's a thinker, which I enjoyed. I really liked the whole trying to figure out what was happening aspect, which I feel like brings a good thriller around, is mysteries, turns, twists, all that. And it was definitely one of those where it's like, oh, well, I don't know what's going on.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, you're really left like not knowing what's going on for a mass majority of the movie. Like it's extremely intense though. Like
it is not a horror movie. I will.
Yes.
A lot of people, I thought based on the trailer, there's a lot of horror tropes that are shown in the trailer and a lot of horror themes. I feel like, especially with the writing being like the black pen type deal and the ink splashes. I felt like that gave off a specific genre.
Yeah, in a way. And I mean, if you're familiar with his work, then you kind of know what you're going into. You kind of know you're going into kind of a weirder movie. A thinker, like you said. I think that it is definitely not a horror movie. I wouldn't even know if I'd consider it a psychological thriller. I feel like it, in a sense, it is, but I wouldn't even go. I would just say it kind of stands on its own. I haven't seen much like it.
It's very difficult to label this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I have never. Definitely this year, but then period, I'm not sure if I've seen more of an artistic movie.
Right.
It was very artistically driven and very symbolical.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
I feel like it's one of those movies where if you're thinking about getting it on DVD or like renting it because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'd like it in theaters, don't rent it, go see it in theaters.
Yeah.
Because it's an experience where I feel like immersion is almost 90% of the ordeal.
Yeah, definitely.
And in a theater, at least personally, that's where I can feel more immersed compared to at home.
Absolutely.
Because I don't have those distractions in a theater. And if you do have those distractions in the theater, find the nearest manager and get those distractions out of there.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a fun time if you have people talking around you, or if you have people, cracking jokes or whatever.
But it's definitely a movie you should see in theaters while it's here. I feel like Jennifer Lawrence's best performance.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
Because it was so subtle, I feel like, compared to a lot of the other characters she's had to play in the past. I felt like this one was more of a... I don't know, it was easier to get attached to this character.
Right. Well, Andy, you had to, and she had to be good.
Yeah.
Because the entire movie is revolving around her. I mean, the camera is right up next to her the entire time. It doesn't even have any... There's, like, no wide shots in the movie, no nothing. It's just straight up. It's in your face the entire time. Basically makes you pretty claustrophobic, actually. Gives
give that stress. Some of the best cinematography I've seen probably the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, the way how it played out, it was unique.
Yeah, definitely.
In the way it was done, but it never compromised. I felt like it was always true to the themes and what it was going for.
It never tried to do anything weird. It stayed pretty true to what it was trying to do. Yeah.
And the acting was amazing from Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, the rest of the film's ensemble. I liked how a lot of it felt like continual shots because the set
Right.
being that house,
Right.
they
Yes,
didn't
that's very
need
true.
to expand out too much. There could be a lot of evolution in one place that you got to get familiar with.
Mm-hmm. There was
Um,
actually a few points in the movie too where I was trying to see maybe where like they would have cut it and done something else, or when they switched camera views. But I mean, there was a lot of times where I would just stop trying to figure it out because it was
Yeah.
just so. It was. I mean, it was always. It was like it,
It was
felt
very,
like
very smooth.
yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, it's. I would say. Don't look up anything about the movie.
Matter of fact, if you haven't seen a trailer, don't watch a trailer. That's you
For
kind
sure.
of spoke about that already a little
Yeah.
bit, but
Trailer.
do
The-
not watch a trailer if you haven't seen one.
Trailer was
That's
very misleading, honestly.
I would say just go, keep an open mind, and don't even. I'd say for this, don't take really our first section of review into much consideration personally. Go into it as empty-minded
Mhm.
as you
Right.
can. Like go
which
in,
is why we're trying to keep it.
go in expecting just nothing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there.
Because
Yeah.
you want to make all of your own mental
Mhm.
decisions from this.
This is a very personal movie, and every single person I feel like will take something different from this movie.
Right,
yes,
right.
definitely.
I feel because like lots of times with a movie, it's like there's only two sides of the fence.
Mhm.
Where this movie is so many different dynamics. Like every single person is going to take this movie differently.
Exactly.
It is such an out there movie. I personally have never felt so uncomfortable
Right.
during a movie. Whether it's just the basic human interaction,
Mhm.
it wasn't even the scenes that were really out there. Just the basic human interaction was uncomfortable for
Right.
me, and I know that was their goal. So
Yeah.
they achieved their goal as far as that goes.
And I know I came out of it feeling like all sorts of just like anger, frustration, but also understanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly what he was trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I understood, and I feel like that's also part if you don't understand what's going on, I can see how this would come out as a movie. People would be like, "Oh, it wasn't good. It sucked."
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of it is understanding.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, part of it is if you want to go to a movie where you are thinking through the movie, like this isn't mindless action, this
Yeah.
isn't like
Yeah.
walking into a horror movie like something you can sit down and just be like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
This isn't just a movie.
No.
No.
This is an experience.
Yeah.
And it's not
Very
only just
much.
an experience. It is it's almost like it's a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are having a discussion with this
Mhm.
movie.
The
whole time.
The entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
But-
interesting.
There's a lot of things you can take from this movie. You can tell what the director was trying to do. He was trying to do a lot of different things here. He was touching
completely.
on a lot of different things. I mean, for me, I'd say like I didn't really have any gripes with the movie. I feel like a little thing. If it was, I would say the pacing was very slow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough because I feel like if this was another movie, I would dock it a point for that. I would dock it something for the
Mhm.
pacing being slow.
It
But-
needed that.
And it was aggravating. It was aggravating.
No.
I mean, it was so
This is-
because it's so slow and it's trying to.
This is a movie that if you get bored and leave halfway through, you're just gonna have a sour taste in your mouth
Yeah.
the whole time.
Mhm.
Like
yeah.
you need to be prepared when going to see this movie to hunker down,
Mhm.
get what you need, and just sit and watch.
Yeah, because I feel like like I said, normally I would dock it a point or whatever for having the pacing being kind of slow. But I feel like that, and it can be very irritating in this movie while you're sitting there. Not really in a bad way though. It can be kind of irritating because you're trying to figure out the answer and you're trying to.
Mhm.
And I would normally dock it points, but that is the entire
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
That's the entire point he was trying to get across. He was trying to make you mad. He was trying to
Mhm.
get your adrenaline going. So I definitely think that's probably like my only gripe with the movie. I feel like, but it's not really a gripe though.
Yeah.
So because that's exactly what he was trying to do. So it is kind of a hard movie to rate in that way. I feel like.
I would say, I mean, go ahead.
It's definitely something because this movie was messy, but that's what they wanted.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very controlled mess,
Mm-hmm.
and that is exactly what they were trying to portray.
Mm-hmm. I loved it. I thought it was great. What are you guys' ratings on that, do you think?
I'd probably put it, but like a high 8 or a low 9, like
Okay.
under 9.5, above 8.5 in that range.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess 9. I'd rate it a
Okay.
9.
Okay.
In between those
What
averages.
about you?
I'd probably go for about a 7, maybe 7.2.
Okay.
Just because like
I don't know, you weren't as jazzed after the movie as I was. I was out like, oh my god, oh my god,
I
oh my
did
god, oh my god.
appreciate what the movie was trying to say. I did respect the quality of film it was. As far as quality of film, like you could easily say it's a 10 as far as that goes. But just some of the it's so hard to
So tough.
Oh god.
it's so hard
so tough
to find what your feelings are on this
Because
movie.
I feel like you can rate it. You can rate it high for the quality, but if you didn't really enjoy it that much, you kind of want to rate it lower.
I'm worried if I saw it a second time, I would rate it lower.
Yeah, exactly. Which is
Yeah.
why I don't want to
Part-
watch it that second
And
time.
part of it is the realization of that first watch.
the whole.
It's a first watch.
And that is part of one of the reasons why I gave it a little bit lower rating, because I don't ever want to watch this movie again. Honestly. It's not that I'm totally opposed in all ways to ever watch it again. It's just, it's a heavy movie.
Oh, it's very heavy.
And
But that's what he was trying to do, though. So
yeah. Whereas other heavy movies, I am very willing to watch again. There's just a lot of certain aspects about it that I just felt like were just a little strange, and some of the different connections that they made, I just thought were a little.
I'd say
there.
9 for a first watch, 7 in repeatability.
Yeah, depending on what you actually originally
Yeah.
thought of the movie. I feel like I don't think I'm gonna watch it again either. I mean, I might maybe to show somebody and just be like, watch this movie. I might have to give it a 9.5. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think, like I said, I don't know if I really like enjoyed watching the movie. But I can definitely say that he got me. He did, like, what he was trying to do, it affected me. And that's exactly what I felt when I walked out of the theater. That's exactly he wanted me there, and that's exactly what he wanted to do to me.
That is a very good point.
So I think that I was mad. I was very, like, I felt very, like, claustrophobic and very uncomfortable and very all this. But I think that for a movie to make you feel that way, they did something right.
Yeah.
And so I think that for rewatchability, I'd rate it lower. I don't know what I would rate it. But I do think that as a first watch, which I think most people who do watch it will probably only watch it maybe once or twice, I do think I would give it probably a 9.5.
And I just want to reiterate one last time: go into it an open mind, realizing
this is not horror.
This is not horror, and realizing that this is artistic perception, artistic portrayal, and like follow what more so, because I can understand how people would get offended by this film.
Absolutely.
And I will say that I will give that sort of warning. There is the possibility of getting offended from this film. I won't say how, I won't say why, but try not to, and try and understand, like, stay really open and follow the shoes.
Try to understand that this is someone's own perception on this particular topic that you will learn as you watch this movie.
Personal feelings towards it.
Though I do believe that my own personal feelings in as far as the subject goes, do conflict with
differ a little bit
with the movie, and that is probably one of the reasons why I give it a little bit lower rating.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, I would say don't take this movie too personally.
No.
Yeah.
Look at this movie for what they're trying to say, for what their perception is. Respect what their opinion is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Yeah. So that was our spoiler-free review, and at this point we will start our in-depth discussion that will be a spoiler-filled review.
Oh my god, guys.
Do you want me to restart?
Just know that film. I'm just talking about that film. Now that the people who have gone, oh yeah, the spoiler-free review, I guess I'll go see it. People have friggin' ready for the spoiler review. Holy shit, guys. That film, I gotta
let it out. I feel like it's kind of gone away from me a little bit. Like, I would have been, like, crazy if we reviewed it, like, that night.
Day of?
But...
You had to process this movie.
I did.
We did.
This is a we thing.
These two, during the movie, because they, like, walk out and they're all slow, like, what the hell just happened to me, man?
Hey, man. I
wasn't
what the hell just happened.
Straight up were like...
Well, I was flipping...
No. Like, right when the credits rolled, I was sitting like this, because, like, I didn't know what the fuck to do. And then Oliver was like, dude, did you guys get it? Did you guys get it? I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do right now. Calm down.
Pretty much. I'm pretty certain you probably broke Austin's eardrums with that.
Okay, so starting off, this movie,
I didn't think about that.
It starts off, you see...
No, hold on. Did we do the...
He gave the preface that this is spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah, I gave it. I
They
did.
know right there.
I'm on it. I'm on that shit.
So we start off with a crispy woman. Opening shot is a crispy woman.
Very opening crispy. Shot. Fire is a burning. Yep. Eyes are a demented looking into the camera.
Yep.
And immediately I was like, okay.
Is this... I was like, is this the end?
Because I thought this was... I went in expecting a horror movie, and when I see this crispy woman, I assume like, oh, she's gonna be the ghost.
Yeah.
She's the ghost in the house.
I was, just from that right there, I was thinking this is a sacrifice movie or something. Like,
yeah.
That was the feeling I got from it.
But I just figured it was like the end of the movie.
But then as soon as like it moved on to like...
The house,
and then he put the crystal there. As soon as it showed that, and then like Jennifer Lawrence, I woke up, I was like, this is how the movie's gonna end. Mm-hmm. I just knew that immediately. I'm sure you guys did too.
Same. Yeah, no, I pretty much was like, okay.
I didn't, because I thought... So, in this movie, there's this crystal that sort of rebirths everything.
Right.
Which we'll explain more what that does more. I thought, though, it was Javier Bardem was the bad guy. Based off of the trailers, you see...
Yep, that's exactly what I thought.
You see this little portrait, and he's painted like the devil. And Javier Bardem, like, already sort of gives off this intimidating, feels like presence of, like...
Throughout the movie, like... No, not throughout the movie, but, like, the first portion of the movie, a good portion, I was thinking, like, is he a cult leader? And his wife doesn't know it?
Right.
Like, that's what I was thinking. But then, you know, it took that twist.
Oh, yeah. But I thought, because he puts the crystal back, and you watch this house, which is the house that this movie's set in. It's all crispy and burnt, and you watch it sort of recolorize, and you see this bedroom, and it all recolorize and become new. And that's where Jennifer Lawrence appears.
Yeah,
sort of forming out of this bed. Yeah, no. I was like, all right. And she goes through, and I gotta say, the audio quality is so crisp.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not an ASMR person. Yeah. I hate that stuff. And it took me a while to get acclimated to this.
It was actually kind
because
of funny.
You're just... Ooh, it's like, I don't know.
Because, like, I noticed it, I was just like, wow, that's, like, they got every little detail. Like, she was doing some dishes, and you hear the sink, and you hear the scrubbing.
Yep.
And I stopped myself, like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, like, 5 seconds later, Oliver turns over, he's just like, I fucking hate this, like, Addison stuff.
I was like, it made me so uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to hear all that precise noise. Right. It's like, I can't...
Because then you're only thinking, okay, what's going to happen later on where I'm going to hear... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know. It just bothered me. And I think that was partly what they were trying to do, is automatically make any sort of, if you weren't into that, make those goosebumps start appearing. You're like, oh, I'm now a little tense.
I can say from like the very first shot of that movie, like there were like I was so like just uncomfortable already. Like I was so into the movie, and so like there were people that I was talking to and they said it was really boring and it was really whatever. I wasn't bored at all. I think from the very first shot I was hooked. I was just in it, and as the movie goes on, it's just like I was so into it. That's crazy.
But as Jennifer Lawrence is sort of progressing, you meet Javier Bardem, who's a writer. And he's having trouble coming up with his book. Now, this is all very symbolic. Right. And it took me a while to figure it out. But he's working, but he just can't come up with anything. And for this spoiler section, I'll tell you right now, Javier Bardem is supposed to represent God in this movie.
Yep.
Which was sort of a twist for me, because I was thinking it was more of like a Satan thing.
Yeah,
when I first saw it, I was like, okay, so is he going to be Hades, and that's Persephone? Because in Greek mythology, Persephone is one of the goddesses of pretty much life, and is tricked into marrying Hades or whatever. And I thought, oh, that I can see those symbolisms here. She's the one who's bringing life in, or like built this house up. But they're going through the day, and you can clearly tell there's some sort of like there isn't passion in this marriage anymore.
They're very like
Jennifer Lawrence is like,
it's
hey,
very
love
one-sided.
Me.
Very one-sided. She's like, you know, open arms. I, you know, love you, love me, like you said.
Yeah.
He's just you kind of feel like that if she were to have left, he would have tried to stop her from leaving, which does happen. So you can maybe kind of feel like maybe he has something for her, but it's just not. It's very much like pretty much one-sided.
Yeah, and until the man shows up, which
played by Ed Harris. Yeah, just
I didn't even know he was in the movie until I saw him. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, neither did I.
So in this, setting up the sort of symbolism and what I pulled from it, and what I think is what they were trying to do, is Javier Bardem is God. Jennifer Lawrence is, I will use Gaia as most religion, or like certain religious use for Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Mary / Mother Earth is pretty much what she was. And the house was the earth. And how it is sort of, it starts out is Jennifer Lawrence is fixing up the house, and she is building it as though Gaia would do, and the goddess of nature or whatever would set up and start building this house. Mother Nature would build the planet. And Javier Bardem being alone on this planet, right? He brings in life, or he creates. And part of it is, this is all very symbolic of the Bible progressing through the stories. And so this man character shows up, and this took me a while to figure out, because I was sitting there expecting a horror movie. Right. And because I was like on edge, and I was like, okay, here's where it's gonna start getting good, and then
the man shows up, and like Jennifer Lawrence's character is automatically like, what is he doing here? This is our place.
Throughout the whole movie, she's oblivious to everything. She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
She just as you are as the audience.
That's why
she just wants to be alone with Javier Bardem.
And who wouldn't?
But
Mr. Bond.
And Ed Harris is definitely supposed to represent Adam.
Yep.
There's a lot of, and that's part of this movie, is like, once you figure this stuff out, because I love the thinking aspect of this, like trying to find that twist. And I got about, I think, 3/4 of the way through the movie before everything super hit me.
Yeah.
Cause
I think I remember you going.
Yeah.
Because I heard you from the side going, what is going on? What is going on? Every like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, I saw your hand swoop, you're like, oh, because I can't think you. That was like the moment you got it.
But they do a good job of staying super subtle with everything.
Right.
Super.
Like, and it wasn't till, the photo of Javier Bardem as the devil, where I was like, okay, there's probably some religious.
Yeah, exactly.
And I started putting together the show, and it's a progression from like Old Testament to the end of New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
It's a progression
to a lot of things, but also it is kind of
a creative representation of this.
Yep, definitely.
But Ed Harris has come in, and Javier Bardem has an office, which I think is representative of the Garden of Eden in the Bible.
At least in that point of the movie, because I actually do think that.
Well, I think it was throughout the whole movie.
He blocks blocks it off from everybody after in the Bible, God's like, nope, can't go in here anymore.
Yeah, because they proved themselves that they weren't worthy of.
But later in the movie, when him and Jennifer Lawrence are in there together, do you think it's still representative of?
Yeah.
Because nobody else is allowed in there.
Yeah.
It's still the Garden of Eden.
As far as the Bible goes, God could have gone in the.
Yeah. It was his garden.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I was. It
was like a safe haven, pretty much.
Okay.
And that's what they used it as.
But this crystal, which represents sort of the forbidden fruit, also just like an it is shown to the Adam character, and it's representative of that. And you see this Adam character and God, they're talking and they're going through stuff, and you wouldn't know, like, at first glance that that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No.
But there's this a scene where Adam is, like, coughing in a bathroom, and Javier Bardem as God is in there, and Jennifer Lawrence wakes up from sleeping. He's like, "Is everything okay? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, he just had too much to drink." And you see a slit.
Yeah, right as she peeks in through the door, because she's kind of she hears the coughing.
Mm-hmm. You see a slit in the side of this character, and
Ed Harris.
Adam. And I didn't realize. I was like.
And then he kind of quickly covers it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, everything's fine. Yeah.
That is supposed to be when God breaks the rib off of Adam to create Eve, which, after that scene, the next day, they're waking up, they eat breakfast.
That damn Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer shows up.
I absolutely hated her in this movie. And she plays such a fantastic villain. But when she was in that part, it was like, I didn't even think of her as Michelle Pfeiffer. She was just like, I hate you.
Yeah, I did think it was a little, like, strange to have her Eve character to be quite so bitchy. Like, I can understand to an extent, but I just feel like maybe it's a little too much.
I feel like I
don't know. I feel like it was easier to make her sort of weird and bitchy than figure out a way to represent the snake. Because, like, in the Bible, the snake's supposed to talk to her ears.
Is that supposed to be like her, the sex thing with the underwear? Because that was all green and stuff. Scaly.
I think we just figured something out. I think
that's
what just happened.
But, yeah, so she comes. You fucking hate her character. God, it's...
From the second she walked in, I was like, okay, we have Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie. Let's see how she is in this. And just as her screen time, the more she's in the movie, the more I want to reach to the screen and just.
Oh yeah, no. But they go up to this office Garden of Eden thing, and break this magic crystal.
Right. Yeah. Well, then throughout, like, for the first little bit of the movie, when she shows up, she's like curious and she wants to go up there, and she's like, no. Jennifer Lawrence is like, no, he doesn't want anybody in there while he's gone. Ooh. And so she's like trying to keep her out. And then I think her and like Javier Bardem's character like downstairs or something like that, and then they hear the shatter from like downstairs or something like that. And then
it was Adam and Eve together when they.
Yeah, they were up there, but I think Jennifer Lawrence's character and Javier Bardem's character downstairs.
No, Javier Bardem's character was all the way upstairs because I think he was looking for something. Wasn't it right after they came back from the hike.
Yeah, that's right, because
they come back from the hike, the dude's coughing, Javier Bardem's like, oh, go grab something.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence stumbles upon them first, and she's like,
yeah,
oh,
she's like, oh no, I told you to get out of there, and then you hear, whoops, and they drop it, shattering it, and you're like, uh-oh.
I did like where, like, earlier when the crystal was first introduced to Ed Harris' character, how he was wanting to touch it, and he was just like, suddenly like, no, you can't touch it.
No.
And like, that was
because it was the last thing from the house that burned down.
It was a very subtle but very strong nod to the Bible with it.
Yeah,
like,
temptation.
It's there, but you can't touch it.
Yeah.
Like, you can,
and with Michelle,
you can have everything else in the garden house, but except this thing.
And of course they mess with it
and
they shatter it.
And just throughout the movie, like watching it and going through and picking out, because there's so many good representations, and there's references to Cain and Abel later as their sons come and one kills the other son. But there's definitely that biblical representation through the part. But then it gets into definite human representation,
right?
Because people start showing up to the house, like, more and more random people, and taking things and breaking things. And Jennifer Lawrence is always like, this isn't your house. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And people are just like, isn't my house.
Well, yeah, because there's that one scene, and I was so mad. Like, I was like hitting my leg in the theater. It was the scene where they were sitting on top of the counter, the guy and the girl, and she was like, no, what are you doing? Please get off the counter. And they get off of it, and then she starts talking to somebody else, and then you see behind her, they get back up on it, and I was just like, stop, like, what are you doing? And then that's what we kind of talked about earlier. It's just aggravating. You're so mad the entire time because
nobody's listening.
And then they're bouncing on it and they break it and
and I do believe that scene right there was a representation of the flood in the Bible, because the water came out and then that cleared everyone out of the house momentarily.
Yep. Definitely, I think you're right on that. Yeah.
And then that also in the movie kind of ensued a new era of people as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And this movie pulls so much from like modern like issues, and like they later in the movie when things are getting crazy, they show representations of war and like human trafficking, and all this stuff, and it was just so wild. Like the movie is, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and you think you have an idea, but you're not 100% sure, and then it hits this point, and once it hits this specific point, shit pops off.
Because it was like he hasn't been writing for a while, and so he's struggling, and he hasn't been writing, and then as soon as they get everybody out of the house, she's basically like, let's do this, let's have a kid.
Part of it too is there's this hinting and like conversations between Michelle Pfeiffer and
like, why don't you guys have
a kid, and there's this whole drama there, and Jennifer Lawrence is like, well, I want a kid, but Javier Bardem won't have a kid with me. So after this whole thing goes down, they have a little fight, sex ensues, and she gets pregnant, and so after she gets pregnant, like, that's when you think things are looking up.
Right, because then he's like,
he gets the inspiration, he starts writing it down. Because through the movie, people keep coming up and are like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan. Oh my god.
That's essentially supposed to be the turn of events from the Old Testament to the New, right?
Yeah.
When he starts writing again.
And
that's supposed to be when he's...
Yeah, he's coming up with, like, representation.
That's a representation of the New Testament.
But things progress slowly from there, and there's this brief section of peace where you see Jennifer Lawrence, like, and Javier Bardem writes out a thing, and Jennifer Lawrence is like, oh, I'm pregnant, and she proceeds to...
You can tell time has passed.
When you say writes out a thing, you're talking about the Bible.
Yeah, well, a Bible.
Well, because
to him, he's a poet, and he's right.
Oh yeah, that was the representation of the Bible.
Yeah,
because he was like, this is personal for everybody.
Well, yeah, exactly. Which is and in that there's also that scene when all the people show up and he's just like, I felt like this book was written for me, and he's like, it was written for you. Like that is what. Yeah, there's also the scene where she's sitting down the stairs, I believe. I think she's sitting down the stairs. And he has her read it.
Yeah.
And she reads it, and she just kind of, from what I got from it, is she assumed she was probably the first person that read it, and then all of a sudden he has a publicist who's already read it, who's already received it. So it's like, okay,
and time is super, super, like, relative and disrupted.
Yeah.
In this film, like, I don't think there isn't really this window of time. For all we know, there it really isn't there.
Here's one thing that I'm not sure, and I'm curious what your guys' thoughts. Who was the publicist supposed to represent? Because it's like, as far as Bible stuff goes, that those were, prophets and whatnot. Whereas the publicist, she published his book. But then there was also the scene when shit started to hit the fan, where she was the one executing people in the room.
Oh, you're talking about
the publicist.
When
I mean, I could see maybe a Judas character being the one who, but really then
well, I feel like in a way she was kind of pushing the agenda to happen.
I don't know. The representation of the New Testament, because there was a lot of stories that got passed over. Before the pregnancy, there's a few sort of hints at the sort of plagues of Egypt that happened, where like you saw a dead locust, you saw a frog hop out of there was the raining blood as it poured from the ceiling down and got in that light bulb, and then the light bulb represented the days of darkness.
Right.
I'm glad when I went to church more frequently, that was one of, like, I'd get bored in the service, and so I'd pull up the Bible and read that story multiple times, because that one was fun. It's like, oh, look at all the plague. But, yeah, there's the subtle hints at those. But I felt like after she got pregnant with Jesus, I felt like the hard representation, because I described that first half as definite hard representation of these more well-known Bible stories.
Right.
I feel like things got way more obscure, and things
started to get very hectic as they were getting closer to our, I guess.
Yeah, because they were doing multiple eras at once.
Yeah, after Javier Bardem comes up with his Bible, shows Jennifer Lawrence, she's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And he's like, yeah, no, my publicist has read it. And she's like, oh, what? And then people start showing up to this house, like loads of people.
Right.
And Jennifer Lawrence is like, I wanted it just to be me and her.
Why is that not enough?
And every time people show up, Javier Bardem is instantly going to those other people,
right?
Rather than Jennifer Lawrence.
He's so happy. And then they start ripping stuff off the walls and like that. Well, what are you? And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well," and they're
and people keep sneaking into the house because he's like, during this scene after they read the poem, they were gonna have a nice dinner or whatever.
Yeah, and then it's interrupted.
It's interrupted by these people coming in, and Jennifer Lawrence is sitting there waiting, and people start trickling into the house even though they weren't allowed.
Yeah.
And so she starts checking up people like, what's up? And Javier Bardem this whole time is like, just let him in, right?
Yeah, he's just happy to have them. And when Jennifer Lawrence is complaining about, like, they're destroying things, he's like, they're just things.
They're just things, and that's all. Like, and he's being very forgiving towards the people.
And then shit starts popping off. Like, it gets full, it gets overcrowded.
Makes you feel extremely claustrophobic because, like we said, I believe it was in the non-spoiler part of the review, is the camera's very much...
It's on Jennifer Lawrence's perspective.
Close to her the entire time, so you feel like you're very, like...
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
And you can, like... She just wants people out of her house, and people start taking things because they're like, no, it's a part of him.
Yeah.
I've got to have pieces. And that's when things start getting destroyed, and people start getting aggressive and fighting, and that's where it starts going into this loop of,
and at this point, Javier Bardem is just completely oblivious. He has no clue that he doesn't care that any of this stuff is going on. It's like
he's caught up.
Yeah, in everything that's going on.
Love of everyone.
Yeah, and all the publicity and everything.
So like, people start getting in, things start like really heating up.
Aggression and violence.
Yeah, because people all have these different views, which I think are representative of today and other religions. They have all these. There are these shrines that start popping up, and you see, like representations of priests going up and like blessing people.
Yeah, they were taking the poet's ink,
right?
And putting it on people's heads.
And it starts getting crazy because people are filling in and they start fighting, and then you see these representations of the like Russian human trafficking is this sort of peace, and I say in big quotes, peaceful rally. They start fighting each other and murdering each other, and you see these sections of war. As like the house is blowing up, and Jennifer Lawrence
explosions are happening, and she's
in this house.
She's sitting there. She's trying to get out of the house.
Yeah,
she's a pregnant lady.
She's a pregnant lady trying to get out of the house, and I remember I was feeling so claustrophobic. And as soon as she's about to exit the house, and Javier Bardem comes up behind her, and he's like, "Come on, it's safer upstairs. It's safer upstairs." I remember like, "Get out of the house."
Yeah, because she starts going into contractions to have this baby too.
Yep, that's right.
And
like the one person who took his time to recognize her and help her out got his face blown off.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I was actually reading to kind of touch a little bit on the more human kind of aspects of this last little bit of the movie. Darren Aronofsky actually, like, I guess wrote this screenplay in like 5 days because he was like watching the news one day and he was pissed off about seeing constant things on that just were pissing him off, and so he wrote the screenplay in about 5 days. And I guess he did like a bunch of dry runs with the cast and stuff, and then he eventually just made the movie. And you can just feel the hatred in the movie, like you can just feel the anger behind it. It is a very personal message in the form of film, and that's another reason why I love it. I mean, anyway,
it definitely is the director.
It's trying to say something.
Yeah, it's like, this is what I think of the world right now, and
it makes you hate people.
Oh, dude,
because you're not mad at the movie really for anything. You are mad at the people in the movie, and not even for the stupid not even for like stupid decisions or anything. You just hate them. You hate the people.
Yeah,
which is exactly what he was trying to go for, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely what he was trying to go for.
Definitely as things progressed, the people got more aggressive and just more active.
Right.
It was interesting to see something that like I picked up on later, which was the God character was becoming more loving and more forgiving with these people.
Right.
Versus the beginning of the movie where he was just a little bit more harsh, and to me that represents the Old Testament going into the New Testament.
Right, yeah.
And
because when they shattered the
when they broke his trust,
he was like he was so mad. But then I mean, these people are destroying the earth, and he's just like, it's okay, and
he's just dealing with it.
Yeah, and then like even the people are like, she's just like, you cannot be in here, and they're just like, and they don't even like, it's almost like they don't even know she's there. They're just, man,
yeah,
it is rough.
But and right when, because they go up, and he's sort of walled off this Garden of Eden, his office, after the crystal breaks in the beginning, but he like tears the boards down, brings Jennifer Lawrence into this room, and she has the baby. And at this point in the movie, Jennifer Lawrence does not trust Javier Bardem at all. She's like, I just want to leave. You've invited so many people in the house. They've destroyed everything. She is like completely defeated. She has the baby, and they sit there for a while, and she's just like, she will not let Javier Bardem.
Extremely intense scene. Like,
he's just
when she's just holding, because she's just holding the baby.
Yeah.
And
but immediately when the baby is born, there's a silence.
Right.
Where like, it's like, oh.
Yeah, when she's getting like, and she's in labor and whatnot, throughout the whole time, there's the noise outside of the door and everything. the people are rowdy throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
and then once the baby is born,
just
then
goes
it's just
dead silent, and then
silence.
and then there's just this whole scene where they're sitting there and so he like gets up and she's like no don't go to the door, opens it up and then he's like they've brought gifts and starts bringing and then she's like close it off and so he shuts it off or whatever and they're not even doing anything and she's like why I think she asked him why it's so quiet or where did they go and he's like oh they're waiting to see him and she's just like no you're not taking my baby and she's like make them leave and then he's like so she's holding the baby and he pulls up this chair and sits down in it and she's sitting on the ground
and she starts nodding off because she's definitely been there
time
a while
has
and
passed
tired.
because you're watching the
he just wants the baby
you're watching time pass and it just keeps showing him and he's just staring at her with just that he's not even like drowsy at all but she's like falling asleep because she's looking at little Jesus and
she closes her eyes for a second and then she looks and the baby's gone and Javier Bardem is walking outside holding the baby and this part of the movie
this is the one that's
this is where it offends everybody.
You're either going to love this movie or you're just not going to like this movie in my opinion. I think it's one or the other and it is this scene more or less that's going to turn you off.
This is the scene where I wanted to kill every single person in that movie.
So yeah, Javier Bardem he comes out with the baby and he shows it to the world. And he passes it to someone.
And by this point, she's like getting up, she's running over to him.
She's like, he doesn't have the baby.
He turns around and the baby's already gone. And then she realizes the people are mosh pitting him.
Yeah, they're passing the crowd surfing the baby through this thing.
Jesus.
And the baby is like okay at first, and then starts crying. And you see more hands, and they're getting
a little bit faster, and then the baby starts
a little more.
The baby starts like freaking out. And you see it getting passed in these hands, and people just want to see this
and
baby.
And she's just breaking through the crowd.
And she's like, no, my baby.
Tons of people here, and she's just breaking through the crowd.
And you hear a...
And you see
and the crying
You see the neck...
You see the neck snap.
I remember I didn't even know what to do. I was watching the movie, and I was like...
And you're like,
what just happened?
Holy crap.
What?
And they keep passing the baby forward.
Right.
And people are like, oh,
everybody all of a sudden is super sad. Like, the people know that they messed up. Like, they're just like, oh.
And she's like,
well, because she gets this feeling of, like, she, like, starts, like, and, like, that's the exact same feeling I had. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What just happened?
And she's doing exactly what a mother would do, freaking out.
Yeah, she pushes through the crowd and then...
Gets to the other side.
And there is a representation of a church, and you see the baby, but it's ripped apart,
a baby.
And it's meat and just guts and things, and you see a man handing out the pieces of baby.
Sacrament being a representation of the body of Christ,
right.
Except it is a literal representation,
which to me it's very dark. Very dark.
So
and a
dark.
lot of people say that that's kind of the movie did go extremely far right there. I actually think that in a way it...
I don't think it went far enough. I feel like there should be a 3 dead babies.
No, I do think that it was actually kind of necessary because with the way the movie was going and it was getting darker and darker and darker and things were getting more hectic and more hectic, I think it worked for me. I think it fit the movie very well. It was very dark. But it's a rated R movie for a reason. I think it shouldn't hold back.
Hard R at that point.
Hard R. Yeah, no. I think I was fine with the scene. I think
it does help as far as the thought once you see
that's what's happened. That's the fate
of the baby. It does help as far as the feeling.
The lashing out of Jennifer Lawrence.
Because, like, I mean, you want to go to Bible stuff. You know, they murdered Jesus. That's what that was. There was they killed him by accident. But once there was that, it was like, you guys are murderers.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer Lawrence is screaming that. She grabs the piece of glass.
And starts fucking shanking people.
Yeah.
I have never been so satisfied seeing a little child be shanked in my life because the kids were eating the sacrament.
Except for maybe in the what was that episode called of The Walking Dead? The Look at the Flowers episode where Carol,
I'm not even
I was very happy with that.
I mean, that was something, but I wasn't as satisfied. Like that was sad, but like this was satisfying. Like I would have done the same thing. That kid deserved to get shanked.
Yeah.
She
absolutely.
shanked a couple kids.
Yeah.
But everybody in that room. I was just feeling, I wanted to jump in there with her and start stabbing people too.
And then, but after that, they all are like, hey, and start beating the hell out of Jennifer Lawrence.
No, like they have her on the ground and they're just, I thought she was dead. I thought essentially she was dead because they were stomping on her head, they were kicking her face, like they were completely just destroying her face, tearing off her clothes.
Javier Bardem runs out. He's like,
no, stop,
no, don't do it. It's my wife.
That's not a good representation at all.
But Jennifer Lawrence, she through this movie they have been subtly setting up things. There's a part where in the very beginning, Adam character is smoking cigarettes. Jennifer Lawrence is like, don't do that, please. And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry. And then he keeps doing it. And she takes his lighter and throws it behind something.
Yeah. And it kind of shows that a couple times in the movie to indicate it's still sitting there. So you know it will play a part at some point. And, we didn't really touch on the heart of the house, which would basically be in this next scene where she goes and she grabs the lighter and she runs downstairs into the basement and where this heart is, but obviously not like a literal heart, but basically it's this big like oil tank and she basically
she goes down there, bashes open this tank and this oil's everywhere and she has this lighter and Javier Bardem runs down and he's like, no, don't do it.
We have to find a way to forgive them and stuff.
Yeah. She's like, you need to punish these people. You need to get them to leave. And he's like, no, we got to forgive them, dude.
So that's that final straw.
And she's so filled with hate.
She knows at that point she's not, Javier Bardem's character really isn't.
Yeah. And
she really is not really against her, but really not with her either.
She blows up pretty much the entire house.
And then that is in itself another symbolism thing for the Bible, where in parts it says that the world will be, when it refers to like Noah's flood, it was, the flood, whereas God was like, I'll never flood the earth again, but like the world will be baptized in fire.
Right. Definitely.
And so that is a nod to that. And it very much was baptized in fire because everybody was dead except for...
Which was extremely satisfying seeing everybody try and run out of the house while explosions were happening and they were being lit on fire. I was actually very happy about that.
But it's like, you guys eat babies.
Yeah.
Burn.
Javier Bardem then proceeds to pick up Jennifer Lawrence.
And he's unscathed, of course.
And they start talking. She's like, why? Why'd you do this? Why'd you let all these people in my house? And he's like, because I'm a creature, I'm someone who needs to create.
Yeah.
I'm someone who is never satisfied.
Yeah, because isn't she like, I gave you all my love and you gave
you everything.
And he was like, but if I give, what did he say? He said something and he was like, I can't create and I'm a creator or something like that.
He
said something
needs to create.
He needs to
be able to create, and if he gives something he said, I can't remember what exactly.
And then she's just
he was like,
he can't create.
I am light and you are my home or whatever.
And he's just like, I am him.
Yeah. Did he say I am I or did he say I am me?
He said I am him.
Okay.
Yeah, there's never any direct name drops.
Yeah, because I feel like
because at the end credits
they don't even
for Javier Bardem it said him
capitalized. Obviously.
Yeah.
Also, throughout the entire movie, when she's touching the wall and stuff, and it's showing the beating heart. Is that like I was kind of curious because I feel like it's almost representing a couple different things. It's like as almost like the time ticking down until the house is going to blow up, basically. I almost felt like that's kind of what it was. And I also think that too, I also felt that it was almost like her heart in a sense too.
And with that heart connection with the house, that actually, I've been seeing quite a few things where it's could be possibly referring to a story from the 18th century from a woman named Charlotte Parkins Gilman. Mm-hmm. It was called Yellow Wallpaper, and it's a lot of the themes were very similar to the movie. She has a strong connection to her house. She has a controlling husband. She's dealing with depression and just mental illness in general, and then having other people being almost oblivious to her.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And then that is another thing with as far as the connection to the house, plus the mysterious powders she was putting in her drinks.
Right.
Right now, a lot of people are just speculating that could just be a direct thing to the name as far as yellow wallpaper.
Yeah.
It was a yellow substance.
Definitely. No, I think that's if that's the case, then
that's
it definitely sounds about...
Yeah,
that's the
best
thing,
par.
best thing that I got as far as...
It sounds too close
the
to
drink.
not be an inspiration,
Yeah.
you know?
Because what else? I'm trying to think of what that could be. Because there's parts in the movie where she goes in and she's getting these headaches and
and it kind of blurs the sides
screen.
of her, and she's just in her she's
in
freaking
pain.
out. That's what you kind of get from it. She's in pain. She goes and she takes this, and she's like, you never really find out exactly what it is, but I feel like, I don't know. I still maybe don't really know exactly what that is. I mean, it'd be a cool as a nod, but I feel like it was almost supposed to be taken literally rather than symbolically. I think that is, I think, one of the things I still have yet to figure out about the movie.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of references that can double up.
Yeah.
That can grow. That can.
It could mean a couple different things.
Yeah. As far as the end of the movie, when he ends up taking her heart out with her permission, of course,
and giving the last of her love, basically.
Yes. And then resetting like the world and whatnot. That is also a nod to some Hindu beliefs of just the cycle of life, how it'll reset with a new mother. Like there's a lot of beliefs of that go. So like as far as the very end, waking up to a brand new mother,
brand new girl,
not Jennifer Lawrence, that is, I think, a direct thing being like a new mother.
Yeah. No,
and it's so weird to think that way too. Like, we're watching this movie. We see this whole cycle happen with Jennifer Lawrence, and only to know that that's just one of the countless.
It's like, I need your love to continue.
Yeah.
And so he goes, reaches into
Takes
his chest
it
and grabs it, and it's the crystal.
It's the crystal, so that can be gathered that was taken from another girl, and it shattered. So I'm also trying to kind of piece together why he was. Why would he be keeping the one from the past girl, or was it supposed to be like?
I think it's his forbidden. It's like his prize.
It's the forbidden.
It's his love.
So
it is life.
So what would happen if they never shattered it?
Huh?
What do you think would happen if they never shattered it?
Well, I think part of the thing with the forbidden fruit is it like,
it's a representation.
Unless it's like different, the time keeps going back and forth. But I think also it could maybe every single time the temptation has gotten to everybody. Maybe this is a cycle that happens over and over and over again, like it does.
And I'm wondering, I kind of like the idea of maybe it's not. Like maybe this is just a representation of our world, and that it's not the same cycle that's happened again. Because in the movie he says like, I've got it, like I fail and I just got to keep trying again, right? He's like, I've got to try this over again. And I like the idea of maybe there was like a section like the previous life that we didn't get to see was like the Norse Ragnarok way of the world being destroyed. Or
right.
He's just
there's like different ways.
The world is ending the same way every time, but he's just trying to figure out a way to.
But as far as him keeping the crystal heart, I think that is a representation of just life itself and how he believes it is sacred. And that's why he keeps it in his office, which is his like sacred
And so
room,
do you think
where he writes as well.
If with this new girl, say the movie kept going and we followed this new girl for a while, do you think maybe Ed Harris's character and Michelle Pfeiffer's character would show up again?
Maybe not.
Because if this cycle was like a thing, and maybe these are like trials, like when they show up, he tempts them and he hopes that they won't go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
which I feel like you could definitely,
because like you said, he keeps creating, he keeps trying, he's trying to different.
I don't know if it'd be the same
I feel
situation.
I feel like he's the only one that is seeing everything happen and happen and happen and happen, and everybody else just keeps redo. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely very broad, very abstract, and it could go any direction, really. It's
I just feel like but that's basically how the movie ends. Is it shows that there's a new girl and he puts the Jennifer Lawrence's heart up on the thing.
And the house resets.
And then the house resets just like it in the beginning of the movie. And then also the beginning when the girl was on fire or whatever, that was just showing that this has happened before as well. When we thought it may be a nod to or maybe something that happens at the end of the movie, it's kind of is, but it's not the same girl. So it's like 3 different girls you're seeing happen. It is, So it's happened multiple times for sure. So
imagine being the girl who like gets the one who wakes up the third time. Like she could have been interchanged with Jennifer Lawrence, right? Imagine it's like getting an understudy role. Yeah. It's like, oh, you've gotten this character. She's like, oh my god, really? It's like, yeah, so you're gonna wake up, and you're gonna pretty much, in theory, be what Jennifer Lawrence was completely throughout this film, but we're not gonna show you. You're just gonna wake up in the bed.
Yeah.
Just like she's gonna.
It'll be in the movie with Jennifer. At least I get like 2 lines.
Yeah.
Well, no, she literally just said, "Baby."
Which is I think that's exactly what
it was exactly what Jennifer Lawrence said, and it's exactly what she said.
No, I think I still stick by my 9.5 from the non-spoiler review. Have any of your guys' reviews changed at all?
I gotta maintain that 9. For me, the going through the movie and being like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
I don't understand. And then that click, like, if I didn't have that click, I would have been like, the movie was stinky butthole.
Yeah.
But once that click happened, I was like,
whoa, yeah.
Dude!
I saw it in your reaction.
Yeah, I flipped out.
How about you? Maybe it'd go up just a little bit, maybe 7.5.
Because I feel like a lot of times when you talk about it and your mind's there and you're revisiting the movie in your mind, I feel like it can a lot of times affect your original rating.
You just definitely have to be ready for it.
This is something I would
so artistic.
This is something I would want to listen to director commentary, like get a DVD
exactly,
and actually hear his ideas.
So like I would actually kind of want to watch it. Like I said before, I don't want to watch it a second time, but I feel like I would actually kind of want to watch it a second time. But I want to wait till it does come out on Blu-ray to actually pick it up and like, own it and watch the commentary and
because I just want to know his ideas with it.
Yeah.
Like
oh yeah,
what is he really trying?
I want the list of all the references so I can be like, oh okay, all right, I get that. Like make a parallel scavenger hunt, keep things not as broad as possible.
Yeah,
I just want to know.
Yeah, but either way, there's infinite possibilities of what so many things could mean with this movie, and it definitely is a personal thing.
Yeah, which is kind of what I said before too about this.
A lot of different people.
There's different symbolizes different things. You can pull so much out of this movie.
And just like Javier Bardem in the movie when he wrote his book, this was wrote for me. This is all. It was there was something for everybody in this book and this movie.
Yeah.
So I'd say, let us know what you guys got from this movie. If there's something that you noticed that we didn't notice, and share your thoughts. Let us know in the comments.
Thank you guys for having me for this one. I don't know. I might be back at some point to do more of these.
Probably. You're a talker. So you keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Thanks guys for watching.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's a penis. The penis.
What is a penis? What is that?
The penis is heterohabitat. It finds a way to fall off and climb to its nearest nest. Hello, I'm your nature expert, Javier Bardem.
I put the penis in the ass and then I got the sparrow. I put the penis. I took the penis and put it in the asshole and then I got Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow. I relay a message from Captain Salazar and I say, put the penis, Jack Sparrow, in your asshole.
penis, Jack Sparrow.
Put the penis, Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow.
You can do a joke from Skyfall. He's like,
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I'm trying to think of some quotes that from Skyfall.
Oh my god.
Oh, hey, my James Bond.
The Daniel Craig.
Kermit the Frog. Oh, Kermit the Frog here doing a review for Mother.
Hey guys, you wanna?
I really feel like there's a rainbow connection going on between most of us in this film.
This film isn't very funny. However, it has a lot of serious tones. So you.
All right. What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be reviewing Darren Aronofsky's new film, Mother.
And then we'll suck each other off.
Now I have to think of the synopsis here. Okay.
Alright.